Well, that Music City GP was absolute chaos.
An astronaut one?
Yes. Welcome to the Swedish National Space Programme. No, it's the Music City GP reaction. It was mental heartbreak for Herta. Erickson was flying to victory, and yeah, yellow was the favourite colour of the race. There were 9 cautions, I think, in total, 2 red flags. We're only a few colours away from getting a rainbow out there. But this is the Music City GP reaction here on Indy Fanatics, so let's jump into it. Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is Indy Fanatics, your home for IndyCar content with weekly podcasts and feature videos. So welcome back to the channel, guys, and like we said, this is the Music City GP reaction. And before we kind of get properly into the review, what we want to hear is from you guys. What did you, were you at the race? How did you find it as a fan experience? I know obviously there were some, and that's where it's going to be a common theme, I think, on the Music City GP. There are some teething problems for it. Was it a perfect, smooth running first event? Absolutely not. But it's a street course, so already the logistics are kind of hard to kind of put together, aren't they?
Yep.
And these things never, first time out, they've never run a street race there before. It's going to take a little bit of tweaking to get a good product, isn't it?
Yep.
Less cautions would be, and less bumpy from that. But we want to hear your thoughts from if you were at the race or if you're watching at home. What did you make of the entire reaction? Hearing from you guys is so important for us, and we've got obviously great content. Obviously, we know we have these 3 weeks of back-to-back IndyCar races, so we'll be coming later in the week with a preview, looking ahead to the Indy Road Course NASCAR double weekend. It's chaos. Make sure you're following us for all that kind of amazing content coming up. But the Music City GP. Well,
let's not be around the bush. Let's just start. Let's just clump it all together. The first 55 to 60 laps. Let's just put that to a side. Let's get out the way. It was pretty garbage. Some nuggets, some golden nuggets in there, like the Erickson taken off the takeoff strip of Bourdais.
Yeah. Prepare for liftoff. Marcus Ericsson.
What else did we have in those first few?
Well,
Rossi
the start of the race was actually very good off the bridge, and that's maybe a tweak. Maybe this is just one of those races where restarts and starts. The start obviously starts on the bridge because they knew that to go 2x2, and maybe that's where the restarts just need to happen anyway. Because going into that turn 9 was just a bit more room, and we saw a lunge from Grosjean. I think Pato made up a fair few places at the start as well.
Well, I think Rossi was one of the best moves, sending on the inside of Dixon.
Absolutely, yeah. How could we forget there? And Newgarden was one of the guys who missed out, fighting with Reay through that opening sequence of corners as well. So that's probably where we need to. And that initial start, and when we're going, oh my God, here we are. We're excited. This is how it goes. And then Dalton Kellett's car stalled.
Yes, that was it. That was the first one.
And maybe stalled is the right word for this first kind of sequence, like you said.
First 2 hours, 60 laps. It was very stop-starty.
Yeah.
Because then what did we then have we had the first restart, which Erickson took off of Bourdais.
Yeah, that was chaos.
Completely fluffed his restart procedure.
Bourdais goes out. Erickson somehow manages to continue.
Just with front wing damage.
Yep.
Which he could replace. And then who was the next lot? Did we then have the Willpower Pagenaud?
I think it was then Power Pagenaud.
Power tries to send up on the inside. I'm useless with the turns. But on the restart, and they both just go into the wall and hold everyone up. Wait, was that Power? Yes, that was Power Pagenaud, wasn't it?
That was Power Pagenaud. That caused the kind of massive traffic jam in Nashville,
and then there was the red flag.
Where Palou, Hinchcliffe, Hunter Reay had all pitted, and then all these cars stalled, and Palou seemed to manage getting himself at the back end of this.
Yeah.
Of all the kind of cars restarting after this massive traffic jam where they all had to stop.
Yeah.
Herta at every restart of this one seemed to be just lightning
in
quick.
Control, yeah. Always just checked out every time he got a chance to. Unfortunately for him, that was only a few laps at a time.
Yeah, that is the first kind of, I think, main issue with Nashville Music City GP. There were just too many cautions to kind of keep you engaged. I think we were sitting here at 12:30 and we hadn't had in the UK. Obviously out there, I'm not sure what time it is. I think they were maybe about 5 hours behind, all right? So, but it was a struggle to get the race in before sunset, at least. But yeah, far too many cautions. And the green lap racing throughout, actually, I thought was pretty good. There just wasn't enough of it in like those first 50 laps, like you said.
Yeah, it was a struggle. I'm trying to think of all the other cautions, but there's 9 cautions throughout the entire race.
There were just too many.
Yeah.
We'll just
I think
put it
we
in
covered
that.
the main ones.
Yeah. And obviously the traffic jam caused the yellow into red flag.
Yes, yeah.
Whatever there. But Colton Herta looked the man from the weekend. You know, smashed it in practice 1, smashed it in practice 2. Qualifying was incredible. Now we have to appreciate Colton Herta as he is just looks like he's going to be the guy in the series who is going to be the guy to beat in qualifying. Because this year, I think for the last 5 years, maybe even more than that, he has the highest average qualifying position. And obviously he would have improved after this weekend as well, because he got another pole position, but he was by 6 or 8 tenths, was it? Clear of the field. But at stages, he was like a second and a half clear from everybody else.
Yeah. He could quite easily just check out, like I said. He just had the best car. He had the best setup. And clearly, confidence. And when you're high on confidence, you're just going to get higher on confidence. And it's been a street circuit, new circuit. Confidence plays a massive part. It's not just knowing your braking points or whatnot. It's just feeling like you're unstoppable.
Yeah, and Colton obviously spoke a lot about he doesn't usually find the Honda simulator too great outside of ovals for working on setup, but he said it was really useful. They really nailed it, and so obviously going to a completely new track, which is what this was, he found that really useful. And obviously before the race, you had Grosjean's simulator lap with Honda released as well as a kind of bit of a hype for a lap on board for those things. But yeah, he was the guy who was stand out above in the weekend. 61 laps onwards. So Colton had pretty much dominated this race.
Here's where it gets great.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been negative, but the last 20 or so laps, fantastic.
And I think that's it. A street course, like we said at the start of this video, is always going to have teething problems. Yeah. And I think, like we said, comment down below, let us know. But I think as a whole, as an event, Nashville are very good at putting on an event.
Yes.
And I think they will work towards to get these teething problems out. But yeah, it's these last 20 laps were going under green flag how it could be. And the racing could be very good. Turn 4 and turn 9, coming off of the bridge sections, were fantastic overtaking spots.
Yep.
And really good from there. And how closely the cars could follow through the street section added to the tension and excitement as well. Because, yeah, Colton Herta, like you said, getting exciting. He was all over. So the cautions are basically led Colton Herta to have to cycle back because of he didn't take the risky, took the conservative strategy. But obviously, as more and more yellows came out, it meant he had to pit, and other guys who had pitted earlier could make it to the end on the same fuel, which led to basically, Grosjean was leading at one point. I think it looked like Hunter Reay and Hinchcliffe were going to lead at one point. With everything going on, crazy in terms of how the field cycled.
Who was benefiting was Marcus Ericsson.
Well, Stephen,
it still hasn't
take it away. Your thoughts on the Erickson defence?
I'm not the best person to sing the praise for Erickson, but it was an incredible. Okay, he came out of nowhere. He qualified really poorly. I think was he involved in an incident, or was he just stuffed by a red flag? I'm trying to think.
No, he tapped one of the exits, which stuffed his qualifying. So he started P18 in the race.
Yeah, and then obviously cycled to the back after the Bourdais incident, and has all the way cycled to the front. And however he got there, you still have to do a job and defend at the front. And that's what he did. He was unpassable. He was channeling his inner Fernando Alonso.
And we'd kind of seen this earlier in the race, in one of the earlier stints, where Erickson had worked his way to the front, and Herta was trying to get ahead of him to kind of get past, but they were like, just stay calm, like he's going to have to pit, then we can start extending the lead out from there. But on the straightaways, just in a clear difference in setups, Marcus Ericsson just seemed to be lightning, and his conservation of push to pass was absolutely key in his defence. And like we said, these 20 laps were going, wow, this could be exciting. And for a fight for the lead, Herta clearly the quicker car. It brought memories of Senna versus Mansell in Monaco in 1992, where Mansell clearly had the quicker car, but Senna, with some great defending, put his car in all the great spots and put it from there. And Nashville was an easier track to overtake on the Monaco. And Herta, through those kind of corner sections, was almost on the gearbox of Marcus Ericsson. And you were just like, surely he's got to take him. He's got to take him. And then as soon as we were sitting here and I was like, no, just watch him on the bridge. Bang. Commentators were going, as he gets the exit, he got so much better traction. I think he was on the sticker reds where Herta was on the black primaries. Yeah. And just was fascinating to see this. And if there is one criticism of Colton Herta as a driver at the moment, I think in these pressure situations where he clearly has the advantage, mistakes slipping. I can think of St. Pete 2020. Leading and kind of locking up when following. I can think of Detroit GP this year of following Josef Newgarden, where he clearly had a pace advantage and not being able to find a way through, and then a mistake coming in. And in this one, he'd earlier locked up following. The
Only
gap
a few laps before.
Absolutely. Yeah. The gap had dropped back, and he was clearly hammering because he knew Marcus Ericsson's fuel numbers were going to be right down to the wire, that if he pushed him enough on the speed, that he would potentially run out of fuel or have to slow up enough that it was going to give Colton Herta an advantage on the bridge to overtake. But he pushed too hard. Coming out, I believe it was the second section of the bridge, not turn 4. I think it was turn 9.
Yeah.
Just lost it, locked up, carried far too much speed into the entry. Bang, brought out a red flag, and the race then ended with green flags, but Marcus Ericsson kind of bossed it. On that basis. But it was a brilliant battle to watch. I thought if you'd stuck it out to that point, it was really exciting racing, and that's the racing that you expect from IndyCar. But it took a really long time to get there.
Yeah, it was just a bit unfortunate because the last 20 laps were fantastic. The battle between Herta and Erickson was just great. The little green flag running at the end, wasn't really sure if that was necessary. We didn't really get a lot from that. They could have just ended under caution, to be honest.
They could have done, but I did feel it was okay because the barrier had been damaged. Like, there was damage to the wall.
Not significant enough.
It wasn't a Rosenfist.
You could easily end that on caution.
Yeah, you could.
But, the current thing is finish on the green wherever possible. But we didn't really get a lot because Dixon looked like classic Dixon. We haven't mentioned him at all, but he was always there and thereabouts. Obviously, starting P2, he got immediately jumped by Rossi and then just stayed there throughout, there or thereabouts.
And maybe that's then a good point to talk about the championship contenders. So going into the race, we have Palou leading the championship, Pato in second place, Scott Dixon third, and Josef Newgarden with the outsider having to almost be perfect. And Newgarden's weekend with a crashing qualifying obviously, hindered that, but he still could have had a chance. But with early collision with Reay affected the toe of his car, that his steering was basically on the straights, disjointed left, right to keep the car.
He had a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah. It certainly wasn't the home Grand Prix that he was hoping of.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Dixon, because he's the big winner of the Music City GP in the championship.
Yeah. Well, I basically said all there is to say on Dixon. He didn't really do much other than be there at the top. Yeah, he got cycled back. Herta and Rossi got quite lucky. They managed to come out on P3 and P4 when they had to pit under caution when everyone else was fine. Dixon dropped back to P6 or 7, but he got all the way back up to P3 and then ultimately P2, and then didn't take any risks like Herta was trying to do, and stuck it out for P2.
Well, he took the alternate strategy, didn't he? Which was key. In the final caution, even though he just pitted, he came in for a just fuel pit stop.
And that's where he jumped people.
And that's where Scott Dixon got that second place finish and does what Scott Dixon does. And we said maybe this was the place he was going to push. It'll be probably maybe a little bit frustrated that there wasn't a win, but Marcus just had, actually, when leading, one of the best cars out there.
He looked quick.
Yeah. He looked quick, but Herta was clearly the quickest, but on the straight, he was the quickest. And so that was the key.
From what we saw,
Yeah, that was the key point. Well, yeah.
I haven't seen the data.
In the key area, like we're talking about a race win.
Yeah.
He was from there. But Scott, Palou weekend again started off. So this was a big one for the championship contender. So big miss out for Newgarden and big miss out for Pato O'Ward.
Yeah, tell you what, Palou had a proper roller coaster of a race.
Yeah.
He was like yo-yoing back from the front to the back. It was a wild ride. Couldn't really keep on track of it all because he kind of got lost a bit in all the chaos. And then all of a sudden at the end, it's like, oh, Palou's P7.
Yeah, and also he'll be frustrated because he was right there with Hinch and Hunter Reay. And I believe he was actually ahead of them in track position on those first rounds of pit stops.
But he got stuffed by the traffic jam and he was one of the last ones to get restarted.
Yeah.
So obviously, Ryan got massive place positions from that. And I presume Hinchcliffe also got quite a few positions ago, whereas Palou got stuck in the traffic.
Yeah, which was a real unfortunate event. So Palou easily could have walked out with a podium from today's race.
But still, P7, not too bad, considering how the race went. Yeah,
in a weekend where we got an engine penalty, street race, it always kind of balances out. Yeah, mental. In terms of to still get P7 and to damage limitation and finish ahead of two of his title rivals.
Exactly.
So Pato is probably next one. Do you want to talk about your man? And by the way, Steph Rossi fangirl, she's very mad at Pato because of what he did. So if you want to explain, defend Pato here.
Okay, it was all going well. It looked like Pato was going to have a fantastic end in those last 20 laps of green. It looked like Pato, along with Rossi, together, they were going to challenge for the win. Pato got a little bit impatient though. And like many people did the same mistake.
Willpower. Willpower took out about two of his teammates there.
Yeah, sending on the inside, I believe, of turn 4? Because it was just off the restart.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that would have meant turn 9. Yeah. Sent on the inside. There wasn't room and punted Rossi into the wall, along with himself. and not got a penalty for that. I can't remember what penalty. It may have just been drive-through. But he also had to serve another penalty for speed in the pit lane or something like that. So he had 2 penalties. Not crashed Rossi out, but damaged Rossi's race. It was
Rossi really probably was winning that race because he was ahead of Dixon.
Yeah.
And I think he was ahead of Erickson.
Possibly would have won.
He definitely would have podiumed.
He would have been there. Along with Pato, they both would have been there fighting for the win. But it's just a shame that they came together. That was a really heartbreaking moment. Because my star performer and my favourite driver together in a wall. It's not what I wanted to see. But yeah, he somehow recovered to I want to say 14, or maybe got another position at the end to 13. So not full-on disaster P20 somewhere down there. But he still dropped points on below.
A pretty big disaster.
Yeah.
Go from there. And the last one, like we said, Josef Newgarden. We kind of covered him in terms of that. Qualifying was poor, started 12th. Had that contact with Reay at the start, go from there. Did he finish in the top 10 in the end? I think he finished outside the top 10 because he had to pit. They were trying to pit him and he would have got a really good finishing position. But they couldn't bring him in when like the Dixons and the Rossis and Hinchcliffes and Ryan Hunter-Reays were pitting.
He was, clinched top 10.
He clinched top 10 due to, obviously, there. But it could have been better. And I think he would have finished ahead of Palou. So instead of gaining points on Palou, he's lost points on Palou.
Yeah.
And with only 5 races to go now, it's coming very difficult to get such a big point swing, especially as there's no double points in the season finale this year. And I don't think any year, I think if they've just binned it, I think they've just sacked that off as a thing of the past. Probably realise it's so competitive that they don't need it.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, they were championship contenders. Star performers, Elio Castro-Neves, P9. He's managed to navigate his way through the trouble and, again finishes ahead of Marshank teammate Jack Harvey. Jack Harvey, again, I think was a bit unlucky in terms of time of cautions. Like for most of Harvey's season, the gambles on strategy, he seems to have always coming out wrong on the strategy. But yeah, Castro-Neves, 4-4 in the star performer standings now between us. Elio!
Well, that could have been going for a win. But Pato!
Stuffed you. Absolutely stuffed
you. Sorry, before, I do need to do an apology to 2 certain drivers.
We do need this apology, absolutely.
Maybe you can do a clip or whatever. But in the previous podcast, when Mike asked me about Ryan Hunter-Reay and James Hinchcliffe, I said something along the lines of, they haven't done enough for me this season to even think about them at this race.
Podium for Hinchcliffe, his first of the season. We've got to give him praise. He's the true star performer of the race, actually. And he got, I think, one of his best qualifying performances. I'm not sure if it was his best qualifying, but it certainly feels up there. And podium position, he's done well. He managed to kind of navigate through there. Ryan Hunter-Reay pushing at the end. But yeah, Hinchcliffe was the guy who was managed to kind of seal the deal.
P3, P4. Great drives from both of them. And both ended up being the best placed
Andretti cars.
Oh, God.
How Colton hasn't won that race is...
I still had a good feeling about him.
And he was unbelievable all weekend. And a second place still would have been a great result. And if you just kind of put that pressure, just smooth, but hey, that's it when you're pushing on the limit and you're behind.
I guess the thing with
frustrated.
Colton, I see, is he had nothing to lose, really. The championship fight, unfortunately, has slipped away. So really, it's a win or nothing. And I can kind of respect that, but yeah, it's just a bit of a silly mistake at the end there to throw it away.
Yeah, it was frustrating on that. And I think the angriest man of the day will no doubt probably be man sitting on the sidelines, just minding his own business, again in a race, again on a restart. Sebastien Bourdais looks at Marcus Ericsson going, I didn't know Sweden had a space program. I didn't know they're looking to get to the moon. But hello, Marcus. What have you done to my car? I'm not a takeoff strip. What's going on? And then he goes, oh, well, at least he stuffed his own race.
He's got a stop and go penalty. The harshest penalty that could be given, bar being disqualified.
Yeah, it's the harshest one. His race. At least I don't have to worry about him today. He's won. He's won the race. Did you see what he did to me? Disqualify him. Give me the win.
I feel his pain.
It's tough for boy.
I don't want to be too negative, but this race win feels like the most undeserved race win I've seen since watching IndyCar. Last 2 years.
Okay. Yes. It feels... But in counter to that, he served his penalty. He served his time. He got his car in a position to win, and his defending from Colton Herta was spectacular racing. That was an incredible show of skill and ability, his defending to Colton Herta, because that's a lot of pressure someone having on the over there. So I do get that frustration, but also he served his time. It's like a convict in jail. They do get hindered in terms of society, in terms of finding jobs afterwards, but they've served their time. They've done the crime, they've done the time, and then he's got a redemption arc. He's won the race.
Nothing you can say can convince me otherwise.
Yeah, no, it's a losing back for that. But let us know what you thought of the incident and Marcus Ericsson have deserved. I think, he's done his time.
If you just take the last 20 laps, it's one of the drives of the season.
Yeah.
But I can't forget what he did to Bourdais.
I can't forget. And I feel sorry for Bourdais because he's had so many brilliant drives and performances this year, but he's been also so unlucky.
Yeah, I think they said that was the 4th time he's been taken out on a restart.
Yeah. It's just mad. And without literally, not even hard defending, just go from there. And then his minuscule mistakes, like I remember he pushed Grosjean wide at mid-Ohio or something like that, and he got penalised for it. And he's like, oh my God, have you seen what's happened? He's like, I got penalised and I was outside the top 10. Marcus has got penalised and he's won the race. What's going on? Poor Sebby Bourdais.
Feels bad.
Poor Sebby Bourdais. But rookies, it was a tough one. Jimmy disqualification was tough for touching the car during a red flag period, which it seems really harsh, but it's a clear cut. Yeah. Scott McLaughlin was unlucky because he just kept on getting spun around. He got spun around by Ed Jones. He got spun around by his own teammate. And then I think he got spun around again. He seemed to be, turning around all the time. And he's like going, oh my God. Like, it was just, Scott probably, on track-wise, couldn't wait to get out of Nashville.
Yeah.
He was just like, oh my God, this is just not my day. Like, I've done nothing wrong here, minding my own business. A bit like Bourdais, and somehow gone from there. And Romain Grosjean was in a great position, but didn't pit in the right ones, followed a kind of Herta-esque strategy, but he got stacked behind and going there and finished outside the top 10 with those kind of late pit stops where he'd run very well for the majority of the race. And I think in a green flag race majority, he would have been challenging for top podium.
Top 5
yeah,
podium.
Top 5.
Yeah. But don't forget about Cody Ware, who nearly walked away with a top 10 himself and then just binned it.
Just kind of lit up the rears and kind of spun around, didn't he? And it's tough. It was a tough street course to make your street course debut on because it was a challenging circuit anyway, really bumpy, really difficult to handle the car. Then the team have got no data to help out. He's got the same kind of level playing field as everyone else, but also he's adapting to IndyCar. He's not a IndyCar full-time driver.
Third IndyCar start.
Yeah. So real kind of props to Cody Ware for getting that high at some point during the race. And it'll learn, and I'm sure, he's going to keep working on getting more and more entries as part of the team. And obviously, his dad is the owner of the team. So makes sense that they'll keep working on that. But, okay, so let's go concluding thought. So I'll just share some pictures now and if you want to do this in the future, if you go to races, we'd love to kind of see your pictures of the event, who you meet at the race. So Dan, very kindly on Instagram, sent some pictures. He's got a video here of Alexander Rossi in his pit stop as well, with Scott Dixon kind of coming close, a real kind of tight one there. And Rossi's pit crew were actually very good, I think, on the day. They were very close to kind of making up positions and on that. They definitely look the quickest pit crew out there today. So Dan, thank you so much for those pictures. And again, reiterating, comment down below with your experience, share your pictures with us and go from there, and let us know what your experience was like at the inaugural Music City GP. But what was your general thoughts and takeaway from the race, Stephen?
Slow start. Once it was got going, it showed great potential for an actual racetrack with that battle at the end.
And I think Nashville as an event, as a place, it's a great place that has, they know how to host big events. They have a stack of kind of country music festivals. I think they've got the obviously NFL franchise, the Titans there as well. So they know how to host sporting events. They know how to host just general events in future. I think New Year's Eve parties as well. They get high attendance. So if they can iron out these teething problems, make sure like all the grandstands are built in the future. Look, it happens. There was always going to be a thing. I think they dealt with it fairly well. I know some people, it took a little bit of a push. It wasn't proactive. It was more reactive, but there's so much going on in a new Grand Prix. You can, cut them a little bit of slack for that basis. But next year, build on that event. But yeah, I think it could genuinely be a really good addition to the IndyCar calendar.
Definitely, yeah.
So congratulations, Marcus Ericsson, Stephen says through gritted teeth. But second win in his IndyCar series, and we did that video back a few weeks back saying this is career defining for Marcus Ericsson, and he has been the highest point scorer in the championship since the Indy 500. So you have to go props off to him in this. There have been obviously better performances from it, but like we said, that defending, if you just look at those 20 laps, maybe one of the drives of the season in terms of how he kept a much faster Colton Herta behind him. So congratulations, Marcus, on that front. Great to see how he continues to build. I don't know whether he's fifth in the championship now. In that, he may have even creeped up to fourth in the championship as it kind of goes on that basis, because he is only the third driver to get a multiple wins this season P5. Behind Pato and Pelot. So yeah, really good from that. Well, that's it from us, guys. We hope you've enjoyed the video. Make sure you kind of check out, stay with us for all those kind of the preview coming up later this week. Another feature video coming out this week as well on Friday. So watch out for those things. That's it from us. But if they're new around here or haven't done so already, see what can they do?
They can like, subscribe and ding that bell.
Ding it. So for now, you Indy fans, keep racing.